G'day guys, you're back with Miracle Max. Today we're looking at a Honda CR-V 2007 model with that 2.4 VTEC engine in it. It's had the check engine light on it and it comes and goes. So what's the problem? I don't know, let's sort it out together. So I've carried out a full system scan and we have a P0325 knock sensor circuit malfunction. Now this vehicle had battery issues to say the least. In fact, the customer had a jumper pack in the car rather than buy another battery, just had a jumper pack in the car so she could start it, but I don't think that's related. I have replaced the battery since. This check engine light has come on twice now, I think, and this is the fault code that is in there. So how can we test this beast? Let's start it up and see what we get. So the knock sensor seems to be responding, but this knock control, I'm not exactly sure what that is meant to be. I may have a look for some good scan data and see how that relates. Our knock retard, now if we watch this, we're getting a retard, there's no doubt about that, but our knock sensor is doing squat diddly do. On the TAT site I actually recorded all the data from this particular vehicle when it was healthy, and so I'm going to compare that now. But notice also that the check engine light is now on, so yeah, we have a current issue there, and I'll just compare that with what we're seeing on the TAT site. It's great to be able to get the information on the vehicle when it was healthy, so let's just scroll through. This is at idle if I remember rightly. Yes, at idle, as you can see. Over here we have our knock area, and I can get it to retard, as you saw, if I accelerate hard, but the knock control, obviously it's not accelerating at the moment, and that's when knock gets adjusted under acceleration or conditions that are going to create a pinging effect within the cylinder. But you can see there's some sort of voltage running through here. The knock sensor is 0.22 at idle, and our knock control, our EGR control, is 13.28%, and yet both of ours are stuck on 50%, aren't they? My radiator temperature has just come up now, it's just started. It's currently reading 54 degrees, so perhaps that was a red herring there, perhaps I just didn't wait long enough. But I am concerned about our knock sensor, which is over here. It just doesn't add up. I'm getting nothing reading. Let's have a look at 2000 RPM. So our knock sensor at 2000 RPM is 1.76 volts, so let's see how that compares with what we have on the scan tool at 2000 RPM. So if I get up to 2000 RPM or thereabouts, up we go. Our knock sensor is reading zipoid. We're getting no voltage being produced there at all. Is there any other way that we can check and see if the sensor is operating? I'm underneath the front of the car right now, and some people, to get to the knock sensor, remove this panel here, but there's this little opening here. I'm not sure if a panel's dropped out or it's meant to be that way. It's where you drain your coolant from, but you should be able to sneak in there, I believe, because right next to the starter motor, that bloke there, is the knock sensor. Now I'm just going to sneak in, hopefully zoom in a little bit for you. That rusty looking fella right there. Now I'm just going to back probe it with my oscilloscope and see if we can get a reading out of it. I'll explain how it works and the sort of reading we should get out of it. I've now back probed the wire on the knock sensor. It's a red-blue, I believe it is, just with channel 1 or channel A, and I've got my earth onto the block as well. So that should be all ready to set up. Now the easiest way to check these fellas is just to give it a tap nearby. They're a piezo sensor, and they're reactive to vibration. As soon as you provide vibration to it or a knock, it gives a voltage on our screen. I'll show you how I've set up the screen on the picoscope. I've gone into the guided test, as you can see there, and it's given us a waveform that it should look like. Now it is on channel A. I've got a 5 volts there, but it's actually an AC, as you can see up the top there where it says A. All I'm going to do is tap with a bar nearby, not hard, just enough to produce some voltage. Well, I'm tapping it, as you can see, and I'm getting a reasonable voltage there. It seems to be working. They do have dropouts on them occasionally, but that certainly seems consistent, doesn't it? So by using a bar just against the edge of the block where the knock sensor is, you can just hit it like that, or you can hit it with a hammer, which is what I did before, and I've got that nice signal. I'm now running it, and when I accelerate, we should see some form of voltage being produced, which it didn't produce before. Certainly we're getting some voltage being produced there, and of course, as we can see on our screen, we're not quite getting the signal that I would like. Obviously there may have been a bad connection there, it's quite possible, but I still don't like the look of that sensor simply because it's fully rusted, and perhaps there's poor connection there as well. I haven't disconnected the wire as yet. As I said, maybe I made a good connection after I back probed it with my wires. I may have actually inadvertently created a good situation, but I did see 4 over there. Did you notice that? Even while it's idling, and I saw 4 volts being produced. That was a bit weird. So that's not quite right. And as you can see, it's retarding the ignition timing, which is part of the job of the knock sensor to tell the ECU when there's pinging being involved, and then the ECU can retard the timing to stop pinging taking place. You know, we're certainly getting signals on the oscilloscope there, but I'm still a little concerned about this knock sensor not being as healthy as it should be. I'm still a little bit apprehensive about saying that the sensor's actually okay. These do have a common fault with them anyway. Look, I'd like to compare apples to apples here. On the left hand side I have the old knock sensor which I've pulled out. On the right hand side I have the new knock sensor. This here is my B channel, it's the red lead. This here is my A channel, which is my blue lead. I'm using a common earth on both of them, and so I'm just going to tap my vise here and it should give equal distribution. I should get the same pattern on both of these knock sensors. So let's have a look at the oscilloscope and see what happens when I tap this bench. So we can see on the oscilloscope channel A and channel B are both plus or minus 5 volts, both in AC. So we're running at the moment. Let's just give it a tap on the vise and see what we get, what sort of signals we get. I'm just going to separate the two now between the blue and the red. The red is the new one, keep in mind. Wow, look at that, eh? Wow, that's pretty impressive, isn't it? Clearly I'm on the right direction. This knock sensor here, the old one, which is blue, yes, that's correct, I just double checked my work, is not happy Jan. Check that out, it's pretty dodgy. So over here, up the top, in blue, is not doing so well. Same here. Look at that beautiful red signal there when I tap it. You can clearly see a high AC signal, high AC, low AC signal, or positive and negative, which is what AC is, but a beautiful signal. Look at that. And have a look at our blue signal. It's just not happy whatsoever. I'm so pleased with those results. They are absolutely definitive. What I'll do is I'll turn my blue off, my red off for now. Let's put our blue back where it belongs, and you can clearly see the signal is just not happy, is it? And if we turn that one off, and we put our red back where it belongs, just slide him up to there, about there. Okay, absolutely beautiful signal, absolutely beautiful signal. So, yep, I'm glad that I went ahead with that. I was a little bit unsure because it still was working, but it's clearly not working how it should. Definitive results to be able to go ahead and show the customer what the fault is. New sensor will go in now. Okay, the new sensor's in. I'm back on the scan tool again. Now before, we used to get a lot of knock retard, even under reasonable light acceleration. Not sure if I can see much difference in the data, but of course we saw it in the oscilloscope, a definite difference between the old and the new. So I'm going to get rid of that fault code now and try and put that light out on the dash. Now I did have a look at freeze frame data here before, but there was nothing in there. There was even no knock readings whatsoever, which was a little bit strange. But I'll erase that now and we should get rid of that light. We had to have the engine off and ignition on to get rid of that fault code. So let's try, and that's gone out. So I need to take it for a road test and just ensure that I have no issues with it. And it should be done. So after an extensive road test, I'm happy to report that the fault code didn't come back and all the readings appeared to be normal. Only time will tell, of course, but it was really nice to see on the oscilloscope the old pattern together with the new pattern side by side. The evidence was there that it needed to be replaced, that knock sensor. So guys, I hope you got something from this video today, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, give it a like, and feel free to comment down below. Of course, don't forget about that notification bell. You don't want to miss any future videos. So guys, until next time, this is Miracle Max signing off. I will catch you later.